You see, look, John, you and I both we have a little bit of an opinion on this.
Yeah.
We won't bring up the media source because it's all just clickbait bullshit, and
Right.
and people are like, "Oh, there's some truth to it." What truth is there to it?
No.
Joe Rogan is busy on the weekends. Joe Rogan's busy during the week. Okay, he does 2 shows a day. I believe sometimes he just does 1 show on Wednesdays. So he does 2 shows on Monday, 2 shows for his podcast, 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, and then probably does 1 on Friday or whatever before he leaves to go do his comedy shows wherever he wants to go during the weekend. If it doesn't align, like he's said this numerous times, Rogan has. When I tell somebody that I'm going to do their venue for a show, I'm going to fucking do your venue. He's like, I don't change it because the UFC announces a pay-per-view that I have to be at. He's like, no, I don't do that. I've told someone, I've committed to somebody and their venue and told them I'm going to be there. I say, I'm going to be there. He's like, and there's I don't see an issue with that. I don't understand what the problem is. If he doesn't want to work every damn show,
comedy is that's his go-to thing. That's what
that's
he
his
does.
love. That's his love.
It.
You gotta leave the guy alone. And so when we're having this conversation, but here's the thing: the conversation was like, oh, well, it's time for them to move on from him. Why? He brings more publicity to not just the fighters. And he's also had all of these fighters on his show to help boost them up so they can build their brands. He's done more for the actual sport than I can say almost anybody has.
For everyone out there, all right? And Josh will know what I'm talking about because he absolutely is in this position. You know, for everyone out there, if you were on TV or anything like that, there's going to be people that like you. And there's going to be people that say you're the worst thing ever. You suck. Because you know what? Not everyone is going to like everything about what we do. Okay, you have your right to have your opinion, but it's an opinion, and I usually go off of just like, you know, everyone's got opinions, just like everyone's got an asshole, and they usually all stink. All right, now for all these people that are saying that he does no, you know, film work, or he doesn't do any background on the fighters or anything like that. First off, what he does is what he's done throughout his entire time of being the color commentator for the UFC. If you're going to be honest about what Joe Rogan has done for the UFC, he has helped grow the UFC in an incredible fashion by being the color commentator. He's also been the spokesman for him at times when there was, you know, times when boxing officials, or not officials, but promoters would come out, you know, against the UFC because, you know, the UFC was taking money out of their, you know, pay-per-view buys and stuff. And so they started to try to attack it. It was always Joe Rogan that would be the guy that would be put on TV to counter what they said, because he's very smart. He's eloquent many times with the way he will say something. And that's based upon him just being a smart motherfucker. He is smart. Okay. You may not like him. You may not like his politics. Okay, but I'm telling you right now, the guy was way, way far of center to the left. It's all of these. Is he not? Let's just be honest, okay? But everyone says he is a right winger. You are nuts, okay? I'm just telling you straight out from someone that kind of knows him a little bit. Not even close. He's all for all these things, gay rights, all this stuff. But because he says he doesn't want to see a transgender person fight in MMA against a female who hasn't, you know, been had to, you know, take a lot of time in changing over. That's him just being smart. That's him just actually looking and saying, science tells me that a man has an advantage over a woman. That's why we have women's sports. And I don't want to see someone come in and ruin women's sports. Okay, there has to be something that's set up so that doesn't happen. But that makes him a right winger. Like, if you don't like Joe, then you don't like Joe. That's okay. If you don't like me, you don't like me. That's okay. I really don't give a shit. Okay? I know Josh, no, let's be honest, I don't care. Okay? You like me? Thank you very much. You know, I like everyone. I don't sit there and say bad things about anyone, really. I try to be honest about things. But I will tell you this, Joe Rogan has been phenomenal for the UFC. He's been phenomenal for the sport of MMA, because he's not just a UFC guy. He's an MMA guy. He's a fight guy. And he has helped fighters. He has helped more guys create careers and do things that have helped them outside of fighting. You can't ask for a better guy. And the fact that, what DC is saying is, you know what? I'm honored to sit next to him. Everyone. Josh would have a ball sitting next to him doing a fight. I would have a ball sitting next to him doing a fight. There's people that are going to like what Joe does. There's people that are not. Okay. There's people that like what Bisping does. There's people that don't. There's people that like what Cormier does. There's people that don't. There's people that like what John McCarthy does, and there's people that don't. And there's definitely a lot of people that don't like what Josh Thompson does. Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it right. It's like, look, you have to understand there's a little bit of the Joe Rogan effect.
There's a big Joe Rogan effect.
When fighters go on his show, there's a big, like I was trying to be modest about it. There's a big Joe Rogan effect. Chael's been on his show. Misha Tate's been on his show. All these TJ, everyone's been on his damn show. And you've been on his show. I was blessed enough to go on the show. He's someone you can sit down and you're like, next thing you know, 3 hours has gone by. But all he's talked about is you as a person. He doesn't try to shift the argument to him about his life and the things that he's doing. It's all about you in that moment. And he is trying to help grow. Doesn't matter who you are. He's trying to help grow whatever it is you're working on. He wants to be a positive influence on what you're doing. And that right there helps every single fighter that's been lucky enough to go on his show. Yep. And that's what's really disturbing. People don't realize the good he's doing because, he said this or he's done that or he has such a big influence. Yeah, he has influence in a positive way as well. You're just mad because it doesn't align with what you want to hear, whatever he's talking about at that moment. It drives me crazy because he's very public about the fact that he's actually more left-leaning and the fact that now everyone's considering him to be some right-wing conspiracy nut job.
The greatest thing
ever. I'm just like, you guys, if you guys not have listened to any of his shit, because one time he said something that didn't align with your agenda going this way.
Exactly.
And what also is, it really is crazy because this is really that team mentality that he talks about all the time, is that you really feel like the need to stick up for your team instead of just being like, hey, you know what? Let the guy make his own decisions and I'll make my own decisions. And whoever else, even if they're on my team, they're going to make their own damn decisions, and that's like the biggest issue I think we're having here. Stop trying to bully people into making decisions that don't agree with you. Like, live your own damn life and worry about yourself and take care of whatever it is you're doing. And that's what's really frustrating, I think, during this, when I'm reading that article and I'm like, what are you talking about? You're talking about someone who, like I said, does podcasts, is a comedian on the weekends and, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is, sometimes on Sunday. He's traveling around the world with one of the couple of the biggest, not like 5 or 6, 10 of the biggest comedians in the world. He's got life. He's got his own family as well, which he likes to keep private, but he's got his own family. He's got kids. He's got a life to worry about as well. And the fact that he does all the stuff he does for the UFC and the fighters and talking about always positive talk about them is impressive. And when you have someone that comes in and this clickbait journalism, it's just bullshit. Like, leave the guy alone because he doesn't agree. You don't agree with what he says on his show. Is ridiculous, especially as of lately. And that's what's really frustrating, I think, for a lot of people.
I think one of the greatest things about him is he brings in both sides and listens
absolutely
to both sides. Because how else are you going to learn what's right and what's wrong if you don't listen to both sides?
That's the hardest part, John. People, when you were listening to something, like I wasn't a Bernie Sanders fan, but I listened to the Bernie Sanders one that he did. I was never a Bernie Sanders fan. But I listened to it because Joe had actually said something about he was thinking about voting for him, or he was going to vote for him during the whole first time that he was running.
Yeah.
And that whole situation, and there was other people that he had on there. I wasn't a Tulsi Gabbard fan either. But then when I listened to her, I actually started to lean towards, like, I liked what she said. You have to listen to both sides, and whoever else he's had on. Like, there's been actors, been other people that he's had on that I was like, I don't know about that. And then I listened to them, I'm like, okay, now you have put it in ways that have made me start thinking, though, okay, I can see where you're coming from in that area, whatever it is that they were talking about.
Yeah, and even if you don't agree, at least you can understand the way that they're viewing it and why they're saying what they're saying.
Yeah, because we don't know everything.
So all we're saying is be more open.
Yeah, be more open-minded about stuff. Crazy. All right, next.
Use the promo code weighing in to